Good boy, MODOK. Good boy. Who's ready for the walk? Who's ready for their walk? Huh?
Hi everyone, JJ with Experiences My Dog, and today we're going to be talking about something that I think is a little bit novel, definitely very interesting and different. So this is not going to be a full extensive review. We'll definitely be doing a full in-depth review later on once we've had the opportunity to really put it through its paces, be able to get a sense of its overall usability, fit and finish, and just kind of a day in, day out experience utilizing it. And so what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about what definitely might be one of the most innovative and interesting harness systems that I've seen for a dog in a very long period of time, and that's this guy right here, the Halo harness. So what makes this different? Well, I think first and foremost, it's going to be right here, this big kind of half ring that you see on the actual harness. So you can imagine your dog is in the harness and you're going to see this essentially going over their spine. And that's actually one of the key areas in terms of how it really differentiates itself compared to how you might normally walk your dog. So if we kind of give a quick recap, a lot of you are probably going to be utilizing something like this, like just a standard flat collar with, of course, some form of a D-ring. I don't ever recommend this in terms of generally walking your dog unless you're in an absolute, pinch and you have to kind of utilize this. And that's ultimately just because it's not easy to correct your dog. If your dog is sensitive or reactive, they lunge. It's just going to put a lot of strain on their trachea, on their esophagus, on their overall neck. It's not that well suited in terms of really guiding or working with your dog unless your dog has exemplary, walking mechanics and behavior. I really think that, you should just be using a flat collar for aesthetic purposes, because you want to be able to add some flair to your dog, like this one's Troublemaker for Ultron. And of course, to be able to fix things like, ID and vaccines and things along those lines. For the vast majority of people, including, what we try to do here with our dogs, is I recommend some form of a harness. I think it's much easier to correct your dog, work with your dog, and just be able to instill good walking behavior. So in terms of this harness, this is a little bit different than what you would traditionally have compared to, I'd say, what a lot of people might be using, which is going to be a back-led harness. And so there's a D-ring at the back. So of course, imagine your dog's in there and you're essentially connecting this. So if we just use this right here, we use our leash, and this is going to connect to the back. The disadvantage, I think, sometimes of a back lead is that you're essentially working with the dog's ability to pull. You're essentially letting them pull you. So it can be quite difficult in terms of, I think, really working with your dog, especially, like I said, if they're sensitive, if they're lunging, they're pulling, it can be difficult. So what I usually recommend is actually going to be a front lead connection. So that's right here. This would be the front where your dog's chest is. And so the benefit that you have there is that if you make that connection, and you pull essentially to the right or you pull to the left, you can really help to direct essentially a lot of that energy, that movement. And so it helps to really, I think, set a much better kind of sense of direction and movement when you're trying to kind of have your dog work in conjunction with you when you're walking. So that's our preferred option here. What the Halo harness does is going to definitely be quite a bit different. And instead of using your traditional kind of back ring connection, which it does actually offer a back connection, it utilizes this quote unquote halo. So you've got this actual metal cable that's right here that is coated, which allows for this ring to be able to go from one side to the other. And essentially it works with gravity. So at this point, which is going to be the midpoint for your dog, you're essentially this drop down. So either on the left side or the right hand side, you're automatically going to be able to kind of pull and direct them. And so the benefit that you have there is you're not placing any direct kind of strain either here in the center of their spine, and you're definitely not placing any strain overall onto their neck area as well. So there's definitely merit that I think, especially for maybe larger breed dogs, probably I think anywhere from probably like 40 to 80 pounds. This might be a really interesting option in terms of helping to really directionally guide your dog and work with them because of the way that it's structured at taking advantage of gravity and also being able to easily facilitate kind of left to right movement, because it can just kind of swipe over where you don't have to necessarily worry about kind of things getting tangled up, which can sometimes happen when you're on kind of a back lead based mechanism. In terms of its overall construction, it's fit and finish. I was actually initially impressed with it. It's all pretty much a polyester based design, good stitching throughout. I didn't see any open seams. You've got breathable padding that's present so that there's not going to be any chafing, so that's nice, so that it's comfortable in terms of where it's going to connect for your dog. The front cavity opening is pretty large, so you can actually fit a lot of dogs directly through there, so you don't have to worry about that. initial impressions on the buckle quality looks pretty good as well. In terms of its overall kind of fit and finish, you can adjust it so that if you need to open that up, if you've got a really, really large head dog, like we do with MODOK, although I did test it and I was able to adjust it enough that actually I could slide this over his head. And then from there, you've got one other buckle adjustment, which you're going to bring I believe the left leg through, and then you're pretty much then have the halo harness on. So for all intents and purposes, pretty straightforward and not too complicated, but I think its approach in terms of offering you a different way to be able to work with your dog when you're taking them out and about, very interesting. So like I said, we're going to be doing a full in-depth review. We'll be taking a look at, you know, the fit, the finish, the usability. We'll contact the company, and we'll ultimately give you our our impressions on whether or not this is something that really might make sense as a good quality alternative compared to, let's say, you know, a front or back lead based harness. And of course, it's going to be a far better option than what you would have for a flat collar. If you've got any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, you know, in terms of the Halo harness, feel free to go ahead and drop them in the comment section below. If you want to find out more about this, you can head over to haloharness.com. There'll be links in the description as well. And while you're down there, if you can go ahead and hit the like button, the subscribe button, it's sincerely appreciated. We now are getting pretty close, actually not that far away from almost 300 subscribers. That's absolutely awesome, and it's definitely not possible without you guys, so thank you so much. And if you think anybody might be interested in this, make sure to go ahead and share this video as well. So with that, take care, take it easy, enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to give your dogs a treat from us.
No.